normally every weekend, especially during the summer, it's gonna be something to talk about. With the box office.
Box office battle.
Box office battle. We talk about some of the latest numbers in box office, notable stories. This weekend, we thought it was shaping up to be, like a little mini Barbenheimer because you had the F1 film, Brad Pitt. Then you had the sci-fi, not really horror. I haven't seen Megan 2.0 yet, but it's not really like a horror film. And we'll talk about that more in a moment. But I thought it'd be two different audiences, obviously, to show up to the box office. Well, one of the audiences showed up for F1. Not too many showed up for Megan 2.0. Unfortunately, F1 zooms, it says, to a 55.6 million opening, 144 million global. Megan 2.0 bombs with a 10 million US start. What does all this mean? First off, F1. F1 is a Apple Films. Is that what they call it? I keep calling it Apple Films. Is that? Let me see if they really call it that. Do they call it Apple Films? Apple Original Films. Okay, well, no, that's not really what they call it either. Anyway, Apple Studios. There we go. This is the Apple Studios film, but it's distributed through Warner Brothers. So Warner Brothers is getting a piece of this pie. Now, Apple notoriously overspends on film. So this is over $200 million for its budget for the F1. Great word of mouth. You got the A Cinema score. I'm pretty sure the Rotten Tomatoes is probably a high 80s audience score. Let me double check that, because I am starting to incorporate just the audience section of Rotten Tomatoes. We really don't, no shade to the critics, but we really don't, care. High 90s audience score on the Rotten Tomatoes. So it's certified hot for the audience. The word of mouth is there. 55 million is not a huge opening. Let's kind of make this clear. Okay. Smurfs, y'all are crazy. 55 million isn't huge, and especially talking about a $200 million budget. But Apple Studios doesn't care, and no, they're not going to make $1 billion. Your open is 55 million. That's a little bit more than Sinners, and Sinners did great. And I think Sinners ended up with close to 300 domestic. Let me double check that while I say that. Sinners box office. I don't have my numbers for some reason. 365. So about 300 million domestic. I don't think F1 will reach that, to be quite honest, as far as, again, domestic numbers. Let me double check Sinners one more time for domestic. So just under 300 million, 275 for Sinners. So no, I don't think, F1 is doing that. It's great. I mean, like I said, 55 million is great, but I mean, it's against a $200 million budget. So the good thing, though, is that this could have, again, the word of mouth, the legs, that's sort of like what Sinners just did. Different genre, totally, but I'm just saying the word of mouth. You start off with 55 million. Maybe you can have a good hold the second weekend against Jurassic World. And then all bets are off. When Superman comes out, Fantastic Four, F1's going to disappear, right? So Apple Studios, they put out these films as, again, expensive commercials. And all they got to do is release a new iPhone. They're not losing, they're not hurting off of that. Let's see. Sinners internationally. Yeah, it's a horror film, Toby. I don't. Anything you get internationally for a horror film is all gravy. So you're better off getting more money domestically than internationally. Now, if you get international money, great. But again, 88 million international for F1, great. That's good stuff. Again, I haven't seen the film yet. I'm hearing great things. Everyone seems like that I know have watched it. 55 million domestically, that's only going to shrink. You know, will it hold like Sinners? Sinners came out with 46 million or 48, then it held and did it pretty much duplicated what it did its first week. I don't see F1 doing that. So that's just my thoughts on that. We'll see how it does, though, right? I'm looking forward to that, to seeing it myself. Megan 2. Let's briefly touch on Megan 2.0. It was, and this is when we talk about tracking numbers and projections. It's all, forecasting until the film comes out. I gotta send a message here. Of course, people hit me up. They see I'm live and they still hit me up. All right. Got that. So Megan 2.0 was tracking to be to have like a 25 million opening. Now, the first Megan film, cult classic, right? It came out. I enjoyed Megan, the first film. When it came out, they only spent about 10 million on it. And I think they got nearly $200 million in the box office. That's tons of profit right there for the Megan original. So the second film, they doubled the budget. But according to what I heard, I haven't seen Megan 2 either. They lean more into like sci-fi and not horror. And that's kind of weird. That's kind of reflected on the cinema score, where maybe people were coming to see, a certain style of film and they didn't get it. They didn't get it in the sequel. Now, B plus, as I always say with cinema score, is the absolute lowest you would want for a film, right? You go under B plus, you're pretty much in trouble. You're saying the film, the fans of the diehards didn't even like it, right? Now, horror films always has low scores anyway. But again, this isn't a horror film, so this is weird. So when you have a B plus, to survive that, you need a front-loaded opening. That's 0 for 2 for Megan 2. You have a low cinema score and you don't have a front-loaded opening. So that's not good. Not good for this film, not good for this franchise. If I'm going to guess, and this is just me not seeing the film yet, just going off the numbers, this may be the last Megan theatrical film you get in a while. They may turn this into a streaming or something like that. It has a low 80s Rotten Tomatoes audience score as well, too. So low 80s Rotten Tomatoes, low cinema score, B cinema score, a low opening. So that's 3 L's for Megan 2.